Wow, you can't ask for much better than that. Laz, you want to reconsider? No, it's good. It's all good. Every honoree. Oh, stop! It's a joke. Every honoree tonight has too many career highlights, too many memorable moments, too rich a body of work to even begin to scratch the surface and recount any of it in just the few minutes allotted here. So let's dispense with all that. I mean, after all, when you starred in Pootie Tang and basketball, hosted an Olympics with pink eye, it's best to let the work speak for itself, don't you think? So my primary thoughts tonight are thoughts of gratitude and appreciation for those I've worked for and with, and all the friendships, many of them spanning 4 decades. Not nearly enough time to thank everyone, but many of those at the top of that list are in the room tonight, beginning with Barry Frank. When Barry ran CBS Sports in the mid-'70s, I was doing occasional regional games, NFL games, and NBA games for $500 a pop. But when Barry left CBS to team up with Mark McCormick at IMG, he remembered me, and he called me. He said, "Do you have an agent?" I said, "Barry, if I had an agent, would I be making $500 a game?" He said, "Well then, would you like me to represent you?" I said, "Yeah, go ahead." A week later, I had a multi-year deal with NBC. And right off the bat, I was getting tremendous assignments. There was just one small hitch at the beginning. Don Ohlmeyer, who then ran NBC Sports, after about a month, calls me into his office. And as most of you recall, Don was a charismatic figure, very imposing, larger than life, somewhat intimidating for a kid just starting in the business. And he says to me, "You know, we think you have a real future here. We like your work. But let me ask you something. How old are you?" I said, "I'm 27. He said, "God damn it, you look like you're 14. How much older do you think you would look if you grew a beard?" He was serious. I said, 5 years at least. And he perked up. He said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, because that's how long it would take to grow it." So that went by the boards. Later on, Barry passed the baton to Sandy Montague, who apparently, by law, must represent at least 50% of all working broadcasters. Sandy has further enriched me while cleaning up whatever little messes I might have created along the way. Being at NBC Sports in the 80s also meant you were working for and with the great Mike Weissman. Nobody quite like him. Creative, innovative, willing to take risks, and whether it was the World Series, the Super Bowl, the Olympics, no matter how big the stage, no matter how great the pressure, he always made it fun and funny. He was spontaneous, and he trusted you. He was receptive to your input, and he wanted you to be yourself. I've enjoyed every minute I've spent with him, on and off the air. One of the best chapters of my career was the years I spent at HBO working with Ross Greenberg. Ross made HBO Sports into the unquestioned gold standard when it came to thoughtful and artfully crafted documentaries. And he has a warehouse filled with Emmys and Peabodys to prove it. And Ross and his team continually proved there was no contradiction between loving sports, capturing its drama, excitement, and history, but at the same time, valuing and practicing actual journalism and honest commentary. Ross gave me a chance to do the kind of work you couldn't possibly do anywhere else, and I'm very proud of what we did together. Mark Lazarus, Sam Flood, and all the names and faces of NBC people flashing through my mind as I stand here, thank you all for your generosity and good nature. If there is a better, more reasonable person in a prominent position in network sports than Mark Lazarus, I haven't met him or her. And even if toward the end I was something of a square peg in a round hole, it never lessened my respect and regard for Mark and all the talented and admirable people at NBC Sports. I still root for them, and I'm appreciative of the many instances when it was a fit and I was able to contribute something worthwhile. These days, I'm delighted to be part of the Major League Baseball network, where everyone loves the game as much as I do. Baseball's winter meetings are going on right now in Las Vegas. The president of the network, however, Rob McGlary, is here. He came all the way back from Vegas, turning his back on the Shecky Green and Lola Falana museums to do so. So I'm very pleased that he made the trip. And now to Dick Ebersol. He is one of the genuine giants in television history, not just sports television. And it's impossible to overstate the impact he's had on my career and my life. Even before he came to NBC Sports, Dick and Brandon Tartikoff had created Later with me in mind. It was a program that had real texture to it. George McGovern one night, Paul Simon, Carole King, Smokey Robinson, or Wynton Marsalis the next. Robert Duvall or Mary Tyler Moore could be followed the next night by Cronkite or Koppel, Seinfeld or Crystal, with Hank Aaron or Ted Williams waiting on deck. In many ways, that program at 1:30 in the morning was the single best reflection of my ability and sensibility, and it's really gratifying that 25 years later, I still hear appreciative comments about it. And under Dick Ebersol at NBC Sports, I went from late night to primetime host of the Olympics, from host to play-by-play man of the World Series, and I was part of NBC's unmatched coverage of the NBA in the 90s. When I stepped aside from Later because my schedule was too full, Dick arranged a new deal for me, a deal that went beyond sports and made me part of NBC News, doing full-length profiles with a range of interesting and accomplished people: Bob Knight, Woody Allen, Ray Charles, and many more. In the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, the combination of things, baseball, the NBA, the Olympics, HBO, appearances with Carson, Leno, Conan, Letterman, popping up on Nightline and Meet the Press and then Saturday Night Live, taken together, they comprised an accurate reflection of where I was coming from, and Dick Ebersol had a hand in crafting all of it. Beyond that, there was a personal relationship with Dick that, this has never happened. 40 years on the air, it never happened. Now all of a sudden it happens. People are streaming this. They're wondering what's come over me. I scribbled all this down at 3 o'clock this afternoon. I put a lot of thought into it. At 4 o'clock, I was shaving and showering. At 5 o'clock, I was here. This shouldn't happen. All right. Beyond that, there was a personal relationship. I can't read my own writing. That's the problem. I should ad-lib like I usually do. Beyond that, there was a personal relationship marked by Dick's almost always sage advice and his many acts of care and kindness toward me and my family. That personal bond, much more than professional considerations, created a lasting loyalty, a loyalty that transcended our periodic disagreements and disenchantment with each other. Most of you may not know this, but Dick could be volatile at times. In those Costas Ebersol face-offs, I had a decidedly losing record. But at least I made my points and held my ground. And what still holds is lasting gratitude for what we accomplished together and experienced together, and an enduring friendship among the most meaningful in my life. So, you surround yourself with good and talented people like those in this room, and they elevate you. And God knows I could use the elevation. So, each of you who I've mentioned and many more share a piece of this, and I thank you all very much.